Happy Valentine's Day. Here's an elegant dinner for two. Hey guys, welcome to At the Table. It is Valentine's Day, so Valentine's Day will be here this weekend, and a lot of you may be staying in instead of going out this year for Valentine's Day. So we've got a really tasty meal that you could make that will taste like you're at a fine dining restaurant. So we will start with our black bean brownies. I know that sounds a little weird, but we wanted to do something where it's still a little bit healthy. We're getting those veggies, that good fiber into our brownies as well. And don't beat it until you try it, because I promise it will make them so fudgy, so yummy, you won't even know there's black beans in them. The other thing that we are going to be making is a balsamic chicken with polenta. So we're going to start with our black bean brownies first. And the secret to this is that you want to puree your black beans. So there are some recipes that might call for you just to mash them up. If you have a potato masher, you could do that if you don't have a food processor that you can use. But if you're able to use a food processor to puree, it will definitely help with the consistency of the brownies and make it so you don't have little bits of kind of black beans that get stuck as you're eating. So we're gonna dump these in first. We do have our oven set to 350. So we're gonna start with that. So make sure you set your oven, and then ours is already preheated. And then we are just going to blend these up. So if you have a nice blender, you could also do it in that. This one's just so easy to use. It's a nice little handheld one. And as I said, we don't want any kind of bits to get stuck. So we want to make sure it's pretty finely pureed. Now, another thing that you could do to help with this is to heat up your beans a little bit. So put them in the microwave, or even just running them under some hot water just for a little bit will help to soften them and help to break them down a little bit more. And I'm gonna add just a little bit of oil into this. So we're gonna have to use about 3 tablespoons of oil anyways. When you add a little bit of liquid, it does help to assist with the blending process. So I'm just gonna do 1 tablespoon and see if we can get that blended up more. This is just regular, vegetable oil. So vegetable or canola oil will work great for this. If you have olive oil, you could do that too. Olive oil just has a little bit stronger of a flavor. All right, so that's good enough. We're gonna put it in a bowl here and then just kind of mash it all up a little bit further. And a good thing about black beans, so beans are one of those foods that actually fall into several categories with our My Plate. So beans are kind of more of they fit into the vegetable area, but they also have a lot of protein. So they do fit into our protein section of our My Plate as well. And the benefit of beans is that it has a lot of really great fiber. And the reason why fiber is so important is because it does have a lot of heart health benefits. So when we eat a good amount of fiber, it does help with kind of helping with those blood cholesterol levels, lowering those blood cholesterol levels, and also with any blood sugar level. So it slows that absorption of blood sugar, when you are consuming foods. It also slows the absorption of fat. So that is why it's really good to consume fiber-rich foods, because of the heart health benefits. And it is National Heart Month. So February is National Heart Month, which means we need to try to focus on things that are good for our heart this month. All right, the other things we are going to add to this, we've got 3 eggs. Just move this out of the way. So pretty much your liquid ingredients go in one and your dry ingredients go in the other. And then we also have a little bit of oil, so 3 tablespoons of oil. Remember, I've already added that 1 tablespoon already. So I'm just gonna add 2 more. And then we have a little bit of vanilla extract. So this is just a teaspoon of vanilla extract. All right, so you're just gonna mix that all together. And this will be kind of our yummy brownie mixture here, and then we'll mix it with the dry once that is done. So I'm gonna finish mixing this up. We'll see you guys back in just 1 second.
Whether you're returning from a family vacation, coming back from college, or even returning from serving our country, we know there's no place like home. And here at Performance Ford, we want to make sure you get there. That's why every Performance certified vehicle comes with the Performance Lifetime Powertrain Warranty. Performance Ford, welcome home.
Introducing the Star Communications app. All the tools you need in one convenient location. You can access Watch TV everywhere, check local channel lineup, check your Star email, view and pay your Star bill, report troubles, use your Star security app, check your home voicemail, sign up for Crowd Fiber, check your Wi-Fi speed. The list keeps going and going. Download for free from the App Store or Google Play.
All right, so we've got our wet ingredients all mixed together. I'm actually gonna switch up the recipe a little bit and add just a little bit of coffee. So this is like probably about a teaspoon of coffee. Now the recipe actually has an option to do finely ground coffee, but I have used coffee in several different chocolate recipes, and it really does help to enhance that chocolate flavor. So add a little bit of coffee to any of your brownies or your chocolate cake, and it will definitely help it to taste even better. So the next thing we're gonna do is do all of our dry ingredients. So the first thing that we need is cocoa powder. Now this is unsweetened cocoa powder, and we are only doing about 1/4 cup. So not a ton of this. Now this recipe does have sugar in it, so if you are trying to avoid sugar, I mean, it's Valentine's Day. This is gonna be a healthier option for you than if you were going out and getting a ton of chocolate and candy bars and things like that. But you have to think about the grand scheme. So if you're having chocolate every single day, are you having a ton of chocolate, like half a cake, or are you having a little piece of a chocolate bar? We really want to consume things in moderation, so we are not saying that that candy and chocolate can't fit into a healthy diet. It absolutely can. The key is that you are trying to be active, that you are still consuming those really good fresh vegetables and fruits and whole grains and lean proteins. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a one-size-fits-all. You have to eliminate all these foods from your diet to be a healthy individual. The key is everything in moderation. So yes, there's sugar in this. Brownies without sugar are just no fun. So we do have, it's about 2/3 of a cup of sugar here. And then we have baking powder. We just need 1/2 teaspoon of that. And then there is just a little bit of salt added as well. And we need 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So, like I said, not much at all. All right, then we're gonna mix it all together, and then we'll add in our chocolate chips. Now I have 2 different kinds of chocolate chips over here. The recipe calls for semi-sweet chocolate chips, so you could use just the generic chocolate chips. Or if you are trying to be more mindful about your sugar intake, there is a brand out there that is sweetened with stevia instead of sugar, so it is a no sugar added chocolate chip variety. They're not quite as good by themselves, but if you were to be using it for baking, adding them to stuff, it's a really great alternative. I have used that brand a good bit before, just when I'm trying to be a little bit more conscious about my sugar intake. And we're gonna do 1/2 cup of chocolate chips. So since I already have the other ones open, I'm gonna use these, but as I mentioned, you could absolutely use the stevia ones if you're trying to watch how much sugar you're adding to your recipe. All right, so 1/2 cup. And then we are going to add in our wet ingredients to our dry. And then we'll just put it in the oven. Now these do take a little bit longer. There is no flour in this recipe, so these are completely flourless, which makes them, friendly for anybody who has a gluten intolerance or something like that. You could absolutely make this instead. The result is going to be more of a fudgy brownie versus a cakey brownie. So since there's no flour, you can expect them to be a little bit more fudgy than your traditional brownies that you may be kind of having in your head when you're eating these. But I love a good fudgy brownie. I think it tastes so good. And it's personally what I prefer over the cakey ones. All right, so we're just gonna dump all this in. And this is an 8x8 baking dish. You could also do a 9x9 if you have that. Or I've seen where people have done one of the longer baking dishes and you've just got smaller brownies, which is perfectly okay. And these take 30 to 40 minutes. So you just want to cook them until it doesn't kind of wiggle in the middle. So we're going to throw these into the oven, get them going, and then we'll jump over to our polenta and chicken next.
Getting a new car or truck doesn't have to be difficult or expensive. Just let Performance Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram swap keys with you. Bring in your current vehicle, we'll swap keys and get you into a new car with Performance Peace of Mind lifetime powertrain warranty for the same or less than you're paying now. We've got a lot full of vehicles to choose from, and there's never been a better time to shop than the Start Something New sales event. It's about performance, and performance is taking care of you.
Many things have been stolen away during this time of uncertainty. No crowds to cheer on their favorite teams. Applause and pageantry have been stripped away. Thieves are looking to make your home empty and silent. Star Communications has the answer you are looking for. Security by Star. Automation and affordability along with friendly service makes for a security choice that is sure to keep your family cheering.
All right, guys, we have our brownies in the oven. So the next thing that we are working on is our balsamic chicken with polenta grits. So if you have never had polenta, it's also known as corn grits, and they are technically a whole grain. So if you look at the ingredients of this, all it says is corn. And usually we classify corn as being more of a whole grain versus more of a vegetable. So this is definitely a healthy option for you. They're a little bit thicker than your traditional grits, but they're very similar to the southern grits that we're probably used to. I love polenta. It's just got such a good flavor. So we are gonna go ahead and get these going. Our recipe says it takes about 15 to 20 minutes, but anytime I've made polenta, it's been really, really quick. So you need the 3 cups liquid to 1 cup of grits. So we have 1.5 cups of milk. We did skim milk here. And then we did 1.5 cups of water. And then we're just doing our 1 cup of corn grits. And that should be about right. And the milk will help to make it just a little bit more creamy and give it really good flavor and texture there as well. So I've got that in. I'm just gonna, I do have my liquid on like a low boil. It's not quite there, but that's okay. We're gonna just let it do its thing over here and start on our other ingredients. So we have that on, and it will cook. It's on about medium heat, and it'll cook down until our grits are nice and thick and a little bit more creamy. And then we're gonna add in a little bit of butter and some goat cheese to that. If you don't like goat cheese, you could do something like feta cheese, or even I think Parmesan would be really good in this dish. So the next thing we have, I've got my pan here on medium as well. We're just gonna do a little bit of olive oil, and we're gonna start cooking our chicken. Now we have 1 pound, it's a little more olive oil than I intended, but that's all right. We have 1 pound of chicken here, and I did cut it prior to us starting into little bite-sized pieces. So that's kind of your aim for this recipe, is to be little bite-sized portions of chicken. And this is just your traditional chicken breast. So nice lean chicken is what we want to use. So once your pan gets nice and hot, we're going to throw that in. And we'll just begin cooking that down. All right, so next, while that is cooking, we are going to go ahead and get some of our ingredients that will be kind of our sauce for our dish. So what we have here is balsamic vinegar. So this is a big one in our dish because it is a balsamic vinegar chicken. So we're doing 1/2 cup of balsamic. I would typically tell you this is a big no-no because I'm using a dry cup for liquid ingredients, and there is a bit of a difference. So you should always use the proper measuring tool, but this is what I have sitting here because I forgot to get a measuring cup out. So it'll be just fine. But try to stick to the liquid versus the dry when you are cooking. All right, and then we have 1/4 cup of honey. So yes, there's a little sugar in this one as well. This is Valentine's Day. You know, we can have a little bit of extra sugar on Valentine's Day, right? And the difference here, you have to keep in mind, we are cooking at home. And so you think about when you're cooking at home versus when you're eating out, you have that freedom and flexibility to use healthier ingredients. So I can monitor how much sodium I'm adding to this. I can monitor how much sugar I'm adding. So if I didn't want to do a whole 1/4 cup here, you could definitely cut that back or even omit this. As well as the other ingredients, you know, we're doing polenta grits, corn grits. So if you were to go more of a traditional route, this is a healthier option. We're getting whole grains. So part of eating in does help you to make healthier choices. You can monitor what's going into your food, how many vegetables you're getting, all of that good stuff, which is just so important to helping us live a healthy lifestyle. So don't be afraid to use a little bit of honey every now and then, but the goal is to start trying to cook and eat more at home. All right, and then we do have a little bit of Dijon mustard. So just a tablespoon here, I'm just gonna eyeball it. And our seasoning. So we've got thyme, so dried thyme, and we need just a teaspoon of this. And then we also have a teaspoon of oregano. And then just a little bit of crushed red pepper. Now, if you don't like spicy stuff, then you could definitely leave that out. Just gonna add a touch of this because we don't want this to be overly spicy. And I'm gonna mix it up. So I'll mix this, I'll see you guys back in just 1 second. And we'll finish up these corn grits.
Sweetie, will you turn that down, please?
Keep life exciting, even when it's not. Watch TV everywhere from Star Communications.
After completing my contract, I still have to buy out of it? Come on. Here's your sign.
Switch to the sign that's keeping home secure and customers happy all over the area. Security from Star Communications. We pride ourselves on fair pricing and quick, friendly service every time.
Somebody try to break into this place?
Security from Star Communications.
All right, guys, so we have a few steps that we've just went ahead and done just because they're taking a little bit longer than anticipated. But the next thing we did, we had our chicken in the pan. That was complete cooking. We added our balsamic Dijon mustard mixture, and you want to let that cook for about 5 minutes on about medium high, just so that it starts to thicken up. So that honey will help to thicken up, and some of that vinegar will actually cook off, and it will just begin to thicken, making kind of like a sauce. So we have already done that. It took us a little bit over 5 minutes, so just keep an eye on that. Continue to move it around because it's honey, you don't want that to burn. It can burn very easily. So just make sure that you're staying right there with your pan, keeping an eye on it as it cooks. Then once that has cooked down a little bit, you add in your Brussels sprouts. Now you could just do whole Brussels sprouts, or I prefer mine cut in half just so that they cook a little bit further. I also think it would be really, really tasty if you were to just roast these Brussels sprouts ahead of time and then toss it all together. You hear me talk about roasting all the time. It's one of my favorite ways to make vegetables, but it does just help to bring out the flavor, give it a little bit more of a char, and it just gives a completely different flavor profile to your vegetables. So if you're hesitant to eat Brussels sprouts or even cook them, I suggest you put them in the oven and then try them, because it will be completely different flavor than if you were to do it like this. So we're just letting this cook. I've got it on like low to medium right now. And you just want to let those Brussels sprouts kind of cook up a little bit for about 5 or so minutes. So the other thing that we have is our grits were done. So it didn't take quite as long as what the recipe called for, about 15 to 20 minutes. It didn't take us quite that much time. I did go ahead and add in that little bit of butter. So it's about 2 tablespoons of butter. The next thing is your goat cheese. Now our recipe calls for 4 ounces, which is literally a whole container of goat cheese. I feel like that's just a lot. It would still be really tasty, but if we're trying to be more mindful about that sodium and just how much cheese we're using, we're gonna just do half and then mix it together and see how it is. Goat cheese also, most of your cheeses have a good amount of salt also. So we don't want to add a bunch of salt to these grits. They will already have really good flavor just from that cheese. You could if you want to, you can taste it. I always recommend doing a little taste test first, seeing how it comes out, and then salting afterwards if you really feel like it needs it. So we're gonna add just a little bit more of this. And so we used about 2/3 of that, that goat cheese. What we're gonna end up doing is topping a little bit of our chicken and Brussels sprout mixture with that goat cheese as well. So this looks really good. I love grits. It's one of my favorite foods for sure. All right, so cooking this down some more. It looks about done. Depends on how done you want your Brussels sprouts. So if you want them really, really tender, then you can cook them for even longer. You know, just kind of feel it out. I like mine a little bit more tender, so I actually might let them continue to cook. And another thing that you can do is actually just put a lid on top of this, and that way it'll help to steam those Brussels sprouts as well, and it will cook them a little bit faster. So we're gonna let those continue to cook. Our brownies are also done, and they smell so, so good. It looks like your regular brownies. So you could make these, and people would have no idea there are beans in them. So we're gonna let me try to cut these. Usually you wanna let this cool just a little bit prior to cutting. This has been cooling maybe 5 minutes, so it hasn't been that long since I pulled them out. And I wanna show you what they look like on the inside. So let's see if I'll get this one right in the middle. So hopefully, here, let me push this out of the way. Hopefully you can kind of see this, but the inside is just really gooey. It's, like I said, it's a little bit more of a fudgy brownie than your traditional, but it looks like your basic brownie. So very yummy, very tasty. I'm gonna make my camera guys over here, our production team, taste them after this. So they will give us the real seal of approval in just a minute. So this is it. I'm gonna let this keep cooking, but I'll show you guys, you put this all in a bowl and just serve it. So it's your chicken, your Brussels sprouts over your grits, and it tastes really good. The final step, once this is done cooking, I'll add some lemon juice of a whole lemon and some fresh chopped basil. So we'll show you guys how that looks. I hope you have a wonderful Valentine's Day, and we will see you guys next time.